With so many things changing in the world today, one thing remains constant. That is the importance of relationships. Welcome to Talent on Tap. My name is Browne. I head up recruiting here at LinkedIn. It is good to be with you. A lot's changed since we've last connected. The world is in an entirely different place. The economy is in a different position. We're living in this COVID world, which is really challenging, very difficult to say the least. My thoughts go out to you and your family and your loved ones, that you're keeping safe and healthy and stay well. We also wanted to take an opportunity to talk about what does all this mean in terms of the world of recruitment as a recruiting professional. What does it mean in terms of the candidates who have been spending all this time getting to know over the past many quarters? What now? So we wanted to dig into these topics. The biggest thread that we're going to tackle is the value of relationships. I myself have lived through a few different challenging times, from the dot-com bust to the September 11th situation, which was terribly sad, to 2008, 2009 financial crisis, and now here we are today facing very similar economic and financial headwinds. The most important thing for me during that time ended up being what I would call loose connections. Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn's founder, has written about loose connections, and it's those relationships that we have, which may not be someone that you're texting on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, or that you see frequently. It may be someone that you had a collegial relationship with, some type of work partnership with, et cetera, and that know you, know your work, and vice versa. And they're folks that you can rely on to have a response and to stay connected with at some level. Those relationships, more so than any, are what got me through some of the most challenging times in my relationship, specific to finding new jobs, as an example. 2001, I found myself in between roles. It had been a really tough time. And as that was happening, I had sent out a bunch of emails to folks, those sort of loose connections that I wasn't like friends with, I didn't talk to frequently, but people I respected and had some chemistry with. Sent out a note saying, I'm in between jobs, I'd love to stay in touch. 2 years later, literally 2 years after I'd sent that email, I reached back out to one of the gentlemen who was a creative director at the time at a company that was getting a bunch of VC funding, and reached out to him and said, hey, it's Brendan. I wasn't even sure if he'd remember me. Hey, it's Brendan Browne. He said he did, and I told him I noticed that his company was hiring some recruiting folks and would love to be considered and so on. He got me in touch with the right folks. Long story short, he ended up getting me a role with the company effectively. But the point is, he wasn't someone who was my friend or my close confidant or anything like that, but someone who was willing to lend a hand. So I point that out in case you're worrying about how frequently do I get in touch with someone? When do I call people in my network? Do I need to send an email on a recurring basis? Should I set up a reminder? I would say don't worry about getting in touch all the time. Let people know what's on your mind, what you may need from them, or what you're hoping to accomplish. I think is very important to be specific. And you'll be surprised at the people that maybe you haven't talked to in months or quarters or over a year that will be there to help you out. For me, that's been a huge part of what's made a difference over the years in terms of leveraging my broader network. Now let's talk a little bit about what does it mean as a recruiter. So you're recruiting today, or maybe you're not recruiting. Maybe things have slowed down. Maybe there's a hiring pause, hiring freeze, or maybe there's layoffs looming. Whatever it might be, the many challenges that we face. Now is a time as a recruiter that you can differentiate yourself and ask yourself whether you do these things today and whether they would be valuable. So you've recruited a bunch of good candidates over the past coming quarters, and now the brakes have been put on hiring, no hiring going on. I believe this is the time to literally be pouring jet fuel into the tank of your jet airliner that you can absolutely make sure takes off when the economy returns. And things you can do to make sure that that is the case: be in touch with the tip-top candidates that you've been pursuing. Reach out to them and let them know that you want to stay connected at a one-to-one level. Make sure that your company wants to have an ongoing relationship with them because we value their background, their input, and surely they're a talent we have our eyes on. Tell them in no uncertain terms that they are someone that you want to see having a relationship with the company, and stay in touch on some kind of recurring basis. Why to stay in touch? Well, one, other recruiters won't, and you can differentiate yourself. Two, when hiring comes back on, you'll be the first person that candidate thinks of. And three, you never know what other value that candidate could bring down the road. Maybe they know a bunch of other people. You just never know. There's a reason to stay in touch. Second is more scalable content. Maybe you're doing higher volume recruiting and you're thinking, well, I don't have time for 400 phone calls to make on a one-to-one basis. But maybe you could do things like aggregate links to, say you're doing inside sales recruiting, articles on it, training on it, interesting data on it, whatever you may have that will help that population get better, whether they're in a job or not. Add value is key, and let them know that you're there to provide any help you possibly can. Third is much bigger one-to-many. Maybe you're planning to do some kind of open house or learning session or fireside chat with an executive. Just move the thing to online. It can be smaller, it can be 10, 20 people, but a one-to-many setting like that will differentiate you. And let people know that even during a challenging time or slower hiring, we believe we need to stay in contact and build relationships with the top talent, and that's you. Think about if you got that message from a recruiter. I would be blown away. I would immediately have some degree of brand loyalty. And then the last piece is pull in your hiring managers. Walk up to them, or I guess virtually walk up to them, hit them with an IM, get them on video and say, hey, I've got some homework for you, an assignment that I want you to help make sure that we win the best talent. Now is really important to develop relationships. Here's 5 people, background, who they are, their profile, and here's what I want from you. I want a phone call once a quarter, once every other month, whatever you think is appropriate. But bringing the leaders, the managers that you support into the solution of what do we do now from a recruiting point of view will make sure that your credibility is increasing as a partner to the business, and surely will position you better as a company to win when things continue to get better, as hopefully they will at some point in the not too distant future. So to sum things up, first, relationships matter more than anything. Has always been the case, but now more than ever as things are challenging, this is an opportunity for you to differentiate yourself as a recruiting professional by doubling down and focusing on relationships, even if you're not hiring. Second, you want to pull in the leaders in your business, your hiring managers, into the solution. It's a team sport. The sport of recruiting is focused on people, and it takes many to have it be successful. Lean on your hiring managers, hold them accountable. And lastly, make sure you lean on the community of talent acquisition professionals. It's a vibrant community where I know I want to help others, and others have surely helped me. So don't forget you've got an entire community behind you. And with that, stay safe, and I wish you the best.